What does it mean to have the North Node in the sign of Virgo in your natal birth chart? Well, I'm here to tell you all about what this placement entails in this video. But first, we need to understand what the South Node and North Node are. So, the South Node is where you're coming from, and the North Node is where you're going. The South Node is an area of life that is so developed, you're so familiar with, you're so ingrained and engulfed in to where it can be negative. The South Node indicates a place where you have mastery and you really resonate and you're very familiar with that energy. That you've spent previous lifetimes learning the lessons, integrating, growing, and moving on that path. But in this lifetime, is it about moving on another path? Yes, it is. And that's your North Node. The North Node is brand new to you. It is something that you must put inside of you. It's not something that you have already. It's something that you want to have. The North Node always shows where you're going. It shows a path forward. Because if you want your life to mean something, and if you want to grow spiritually, then your North Node is the path. No matter how foreign or scary or uncomfortable or challenging it may be, this is the way forward. And it also can indicate life lessons that you must integrate and learn. And it also points to your purpose. Now, I would also really urge you to look at your Saturn placement because Saturn is also your purpose. It's also what you have to work very hard towards and challenges to overcome. So these two, but I think the North Node is more fated. It's more destined. It is more set in place that your soul is going to naturally move you to step into whatever your North Node is. And Saturn requires more work and more effort, commitment, putting your nose to the grindstone, doing the things that you have to do, which is not going to be easy. But if you want to truly find that place inside of yourself where you feel like you have truly grown and strive for something, then this is the path. And it may be, you may feel dissuaded from it. It may be very easy to get sucked back down into that South Node, but moving into this North Node, you may be surprised how rewarding it can be when you do what may not be just, what you just inadvertently go back to. But when you do this, then you find that reward. But then there is this balance between I'm moving in this direction, I'm seeking these rewards, I'm seeking these results, but then also retreating back into the South Node, um, and finding comfort and finding that familiarity, finding a sort of you're coming back to yourself with the South Node. So it's really a balance. Especially with this particular placement, there is just a fog, there is a cloudiness, there is a heaviness with this placement that it can feel like it may be difficult to move in and in a new earthy direction, and feeling blue, feeling down, feeling very depressed, lonely, and in the real gutter of your life, I want to say. But also, there's this sense with the South Node of just feeling, stuck in a certain place. Of you just keep doing these things, but you just feel so exhausted. It feels so draining. It feels so tiring. It feels so stale. And you keep doing these same things over and over again, expecting different results. because it feels familiar, but that's not actually what is going to make you feel good. Truly like you've accomplished something in your life. And when you move toward your North Node, you can feel that sense of accomplishment. So, this particular placement really, it's very similar to mine because mine is South Node in Scorpio, North Node in Taurus. I just want to preface this video by saying when you are willing to put your mind into the mundane and practical reality, no matter how difficult or depressing or boring or monotonous and that hard work that it can be, then you may be surprised at what you can find and what you can do with your life. So that's what I'm going to say. So I know there's several people who have this particular placement, the South Node in Pisces, North Node in Virgo. Barbara Streisand has this placement. She is a singer, as many of you know, and she is very creative, has a beautiful voice that just is so, it turns you on. It just is so pure and so rich. And, she also has Venus in Pisces. So, very creative. And I also want to say, Sarah Brightman, who is another singer, who has the South Node in Pisces and North Node in Virgo. But what did these two people do? They took their creative talent and they, applied it and brought it down to earth. So when you can use the talents that the South Node provides to you in a way that is constructive, in a way that is moving you forward and bringing you a sense of I'm on purpose. I'm doing what I was meant to do. I feel satisfied with this. That's how you know that you're moving in the direction of your North Node. So those are two people, and those are the examples that I want to give. And anyone born, I want to say 1942 or 1960 or 1979, 1997, and then 2016. If you're born in those years, then you have this particular placement. Because at the time, the transiting North Node was in Virgo and the transiting South Node was in Pisces. So the North Node in transit is where the North Node is currently moving and how it's sort of going about its path and, what it is doing in the sky right now as we speak, or what signs it's going to move into, or what signs did it move into. So the current nodes as they are transiting are moving through the signs, and then you're born during a certain transit, and that is really what is in place for you in this life that is in your natal birth chart. So now, with all that said, let's delve into this placement. The South Node in Pisces. Pisces is a sign that is about the endless seas of life. It's ruled by Neptune, and one of the things about Neptune is that it's not structure, it's not order, it's not boundaries. And so Neptune wants to dissolve boundaries because of an understanding that we're all one and we're all interconnected. So there is this feeling of merging with other people in previous lifetimes or in early life, that you come in with an innate sense of what it feels like to have no boundaries, to be boundless, to be one. So Pisces dissolves boundaries and looks at a spiritual element of life, that we're, interconnected, whoever we are. Um, and so, dissolving boundaries. So, you made it, this might have been in a previous, lifetime. If we were to look at it for that perspective, you might have been in a chamber with other mystics. You might have been in your own personal chamber, or you might have been a mystic, or somebody in a spiritual profession or field that was constantly in a receptive state of receiving whatever was coming at you: energy, vibrations, people, situations, all of this. So much was allowed and brought into you that the sense of shutting off, the sense of closing off, the sense of putting a container or some sort of boundary around what was coming at you was not in place properly. There was not a proper filter system for you to filter what served you and what didn't, what you needed and what didn't, what brings you that energy, um, and what you need, and what it's just so much was coming in, but there was not enough filter to leave out, to take out what you don't need and what no longer serves you. And there's this grounding meditation by the spiritual teacher, intuitive, an oracle card creator called Baron Reed, who I've been a fan of for many years now. I have several of her decks, which, by the way, is another aspect related to South Node in Pisces, really being attuned to the spiritual, mystical world, grounding it in reality, which is oracle cards, is one example of that as a spiritual practice. Um, but she had a meditation where it was, I am an ancient tree. And one of the lines from the meditation was, I take what I need and the rest is pruned away. So I take what I need for nourishment to take care of myself from the bounty of the earth, and I am letting go of what does not work anymore or what I no longer need. Um, and so, Virgo's great at cleaning out stuff. And, that's sort of, one of the downsides is, is to clean, to do, a spiritual cleanse, or to, get rid of what no longer works. So, yeah, so moving on here. So again, if I didn't say this before, in an accurate way or a detailed way, someone who was psychic or who worked in a mystical field, or this could be somebody just anything like that. So anything mystical or spiritual, you're very attuned to the spiritual and mystical realms. Now, the whole mindset of the South Node in Pisces, the psychology is that if one door closes, another one opens. Now, there is something wonderful to that, and that's a wonderful spiritual way to live your life, and you can certainly have that. There is also the truth that you are a creator of your own life and a co-creator, and you need to step up to the plate and be responsible and do your bit on behalf of the divine and do what you can do. It's not total surrender and trusting the universe that it's all going to work out. You sort of have to build the parachute for yourself. You can't, it's not about trusting that it's going to be available to you, that this situation's going to, work out in this way, that things are going to happen this way. You need to do the things, take the practical steps, cross things off the list, do details to where things are taken care of, that things do work out. But you do need to put in the steps, do the work. More on that when I get to North Node in Virgo. But it's so easy to surrender, to relax, to let go, to just trust the divine. And so a very strong connection with a higher power, your divine power, comes in as a strong soul need with this South Node in Pisces placement. It's something that you deeply need, is a strong conscious connection to a higher power, knowing that you're loved and have somebody to look after you, somebody to count on, and someone to turn to for wisdom, guidance, and to know that you're not alone, and to know that you came here for a purpose, and you can trust the divine. I mean, what can I say? Trust in spirit. So very strong familiarity with spiritual connections to higher power. But another downside of Pisces is what can happen when you are on the street and you feel such empathy and compassion for somebody who is sitting out there who does not have a whole lot of money and who is begging you for help. And with that empathy that you have, you let them into your world. What do? You let them in too much, and then they trash your house. Then they wear your clothes. Then they use you, and this is extreme, and I don't want to say I don't want to assume that this is the case for everybody, but it can be easy to allow yourself to be taken advantage of because of a boundless sense of empathy and compassion that does not have a healthy boundary, a self-respect, self-knowledge, self-understanding, and knowing what you will and will not tolerate, and having a tangible, practical value system. So there is a vulnerability that comes in with the South Node in Pisces, where you could easily be used, of where you're so, when it comes to taking care of other people, because it's, you really, there is this desire to care for other people to the point where, you're not drawing your boundaries, and you feel drained or depleted from taking care of everybody else. You're not taking care of yourself. So being taken advantage of from others, that's something to really watch out for with this placement, is really tuning into what does this person want, what do they, what are their motivations, what do they want, and allowing them in so far that you're not you're not letting them drain you. So asserting your boundaries is super important. So putting yourself first, taking care of yourself, really managing and putting your life together, getting your life together, is what comes in as a really strong, important skill for this placement to acquire. Another downside of Pisces is being in a victim sort of mentality of, woe is me sort of things are happening to me from the divine or, from the universe and I cannot control. The Virgo North Node says, now it's time to take control. Now it's time to do what you can to take control of your own life. That you're not a victim. What can you constructively do? What practical, tangible things that you can, do in your own life, where you have a sense of running your own life and managing in a way where you do feel in control. So there's also this sense of being very dreamy, of knowing how it feels to be swept up in a dream or an illusion or a fantasy. That, there is this soul memory of what it feels like to just let yourself dream relaxed, float up into the clouds, be in a state of peace and bliss where you don't have to, work, not very responsible, not very sort of so enmeshed in the negative aspects of this reality, but on another plane that, so, being very up in the clouds when it comes to your dreams, your visions, your fantasies, and you may want to stay in the dream time. You may want to stay in the fantasy of life. And you can do that, but there's more to it than that. And the North Node always shows you, well, there's more to your life. And this is what you can do to feel like there's more, because your soul really wants more. So, also the people with the South Node in Pisces are also very imaginative and very creative people. Anything artistic, painting, singing, dance, poetry, writing, anything that is where you are using your imagination, using your creativity, and there is this sense of having no boundary while doing so, of allowing yourself to just be in that creative space. So the people with this placement are, with creativity comes being very artistic. So being very artistic is huge here. Compassionate, very compassionate, very spiritual. And you have a very strong intuition, very strong inner knowing of what to do, where to go. But do you use it? Do you follow that inner compass that is going to lead you in a better direction than maybe the negative habits of this placement? So I'm, very intuitive, very connected with your higher self, your, your inner knowing, your guiding compass, very connected with your feelings on a day-to-day level, and you're sort of going wherever the wind takes you, whatever you feel internally called to do, which is very Pisces because it's a mutable sign. It goes this way, goes that way. And there's not a whole lot of structure to it. So, with this placement, you could also get caught up in a dream without having the dream, but not bringing it down to tangible reality, without manifesting it. And that means I have this dream, I have this vision, and these are the practical steps that I can take to make it a reality. These are the constructive, organized things that may require work, because it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to come from a snap of your fingers. It's not going to come from wishing it to happen. It's not going to come from just dreaming it up and imagining it. It is going to come from you actually putting it down into reality and making it happen, doing the steps, putting in the work, attending to the details, getting the materials, working through the process of doing it. That's what it requires. So on an inner level, there is this sense of being very tuned into the needs of other people. And so, yeah. So, again, the downsides, getting caught up in, escaping of when things get rough, when things get difficult. It's very easy to escape, to not want to face what's actually going on. And running away from your problems is not brave. So the Virgo asks you to be brave in a practical way. So I'm not to fall into unhealthy escapism. Instead of wishing that a spaceship would come down to Earth and you could land on it and go, away, that's not going to happen. And realizing the limitations of your reality and, just choosing to just find a way to live your life in the world, in the practical reality. And there may be a huge part of you that may not want to do that because it's difficult, because, I don't want to deal with this. It's hard, it's sad, it's frustrating, it's, all these types of feelings that you can feel very, there's sort of a blueness. I get a sense of displacement feeling sort of down and blue. But when you accept that you are living in this reality, when you choose to live in the reality, so much good can happen. So I'm getting ahead of myself here. But the North Node in Virgo, living in reality, this, Virgo's an earth sign. You came here to get grounded. You came here to attend to the details of your reality. Just, Virgo says to be and, live in the real world, and understand this real world and to be willing to live in it. So your attention and your destiny is really put more on the practical plane and the physical plane of existence. So, this could show up in, multiple number of ways. So focusing on what you need to do on a day-to-day basis, how you need to take care of yourself, the details, your work, your responsibilities, the tasks that you need to do is all really important here. So it's about being present. And I find this very interesting because Virgo is the least grounded, I would say, of all the earth signs because it has so much thoughts happening, running around because it's ruled by Mercury. And it has a lot of thoughts of things to do, things to check off the list, these details to attend to, that it actually, as a sign, needs to cultivate more presence and more inner peace. So I find this really interesting. But being present is being aware to the details that you need to take care of in your life. So in this lifetime, it is so important to develop structure, to put a structure to the things that you're doing, to put a structure on, in your life, to get organized, to, develop a system which is organized, to clean out your desk, to arrange your space in an organized way, not necessarily falling into becoming obsessive compulsive over this, but understanding the satisfaction of what it does to you on a mental and an emotional level when you have a clean and organized space. So you can test and measure this and notice how you feel when you clean up and organize. So developing a system, getting some organization, getting some structure is so important. So sorting your life out, getting, your life together, getting your, stuff together, um, is, really important, really becoming very practical. So this also deals with strategizing, having a strategy, planning out, having the foresight to see, well, if I do this, then this is the results of what is going to be happening. I have this plan, and how is this plan going to work out? How am I going to strategically and tangibly and in a practical way accomplish this plan? It's about thinking. It is about, seeing into the future. And it's about, this is another way to managing your life. So, planning, and not expecting other people to make decisions for you, plan things for you, to provide you with the things that you need to take care of you on a physical level. This is up to you, to, take the reins and to, be responsible for your life. So, another huge part of this is becoming more logical, developing more of a rational mindset, a rational way of thinking about life, of, thinking more logically, about, this, A plus B equals C, of, this is going to happen when I do this, and, these are the results of this, and, what to do here, what to do over here. So attending to those details in a logical way. So, where you can draw healthy boundaries is, again, I also think I would throw in here really looking into the motivations behind, another person. Because something I just want to throw in is having a healthy sense of skepticism and being critical in a healthy way, not a nitpicky, judgmental way, which can be Virgo, which can fall into perfectionism and becoming very judgmental and all of that. But it is healthy to have healthy boundaries, and in this way of being sort of skeptical, then, this is, I would say, a positive quality for you to also develop in this lifetime. So, not only attending to your physical health, but also your mental health, of what do you allow to happen, of what are the day-to-day habits and routines that help your physical body and your mental well-being. And if you do not feel mentally and physically healthy, then, that becomes, and this is for anybody, but, for you, it takes the awareness to be able to recognize that and look at that and go, you know what, this is not working out for me, and this is what I need to change, and this is what I need to clean up, or organize better, or shift around, or make a system, or do a practice, or add this into my routines, or take this off of my day-to-day routines, so that I can feel mentally and physically healthy. What can you do to heal yourself in those ways? Really opening yourself up to the bounty of the earth when it comes to health products, health remedies, herbs, herbal healing, the medicines of the earth. Virgo is the medicines. It rules over medicine. It rules over sort of the grain, that is in the, fields of, sort of another take on Mother Earth, but more specifically deals with any remedies or medicines. It's all ruled by Virgo. And so when we look at looking at supplements, vitamins, skin products, things that help your mental and physical health, like really having a sort of system or, area set in place of all this, and opening up to this world of Costco, of cleaning, organized supplies of the, sharpened pencils, of, like all of these types of things. So products and physical things that are related to the Virgo sign. So this deals with self-respect. This deals with taking care of yourself, as I said before, as opposed to, again, relying on other people to take care of things for you. To um, to shop wood, carry water, as the saying goes, doing the day-to-day tasks, doing the, do things, no matter how repetitive or boring or mundane or difficult that they may be, where, you need to go to the store and buy stuff to take care of yourself. Making a living, making a living, making, money, and all these types of things. And doing that, this is where it is important for you to open up to the practical arena. And as somebody with a North Node in Taurus, I can, it's very similar to having the North Node in Virgo. And my Jupiter placement is in Virgo. So, so these placements are really similar. So, it can be easy to just let other people take care of you, and it may be difficult to take care of yourself, but that's sort of an important thing to do. Now, attending to the day-to-day tasks, being attentive and on top of things, being very attentive, not allowing your mind to wander, dream, escape, get off on this thought, but being present, being very logical and focused on what this person is saying, on the tasks that you need to do, on the instructions that you need to follow, all of these types of things like this. And you could play out all this information in an old instructional film made in the 1960s, or you can do it in a modern way with a young woman, for instance, who has a lot of Virgo energy, or what's considered to be infomercials that you see on television. So, making your own living, taking care of yourself, again, being responsible. There is going to be a sense of fulfillment when you put things into order. Order out of chaos is a Virgo speciality. So when you can draw the lines, when you can sort of, put a box around things, when you can, make sense of all the chaos, of all the emotions, of all these kind of things, you feel more in balance. You feel more grounded. You feel more peaceful, where you can breathe and relax and know that things are taken care of, things are organized in a way where things are in order. And really notice what, again, effect that it has on you when you put things into order. Because that's going to be very satisfying for you, potentially, on a soul level. Now, Virgo also deals with service, and so you can serve others in very practical ways, because you're very used to, in a way, you come in with a sense of compassion, this care of helping others, of nurturing others, of taking care and listening to others, and being very compassionate in a way that is immaterial. But this is about serving others in practical ways, using the compassion, empathy, the being able to connect with other people on a soul level, and serve them in practical ways. Do something for them, offer them, advice or wisdom or help or guidance, or help them, out with something tangibly, whatever it is that is practical. So yeah, serving others, making a difference in the lives of other people when you take care of yourself as well. So, this is also what it is about. So, you can do all the creative things. You can dream, you can create, you can be in that artistic space. You can trust the universe, but only when you integrate the taking care of yourself, being responsible, and when you can develop a schedule and put time limits and put parameters and put boundaries around what you allow yourself to experience and take in. And when you're engaging in the creative, in the dreaming, when you're escaping, when you're doing all those things, knowing when you're going to come back down to reality and, attend to the practical areas of your life, that is where the balance is with this North Node and South Node, and that is this placement. Bye, everyone.